TVs, television sets. That tends to be one of the most popular items to be bought during the festive season. And with just a few weeks to go, we decided that today we're going to give a little bit of a buying guide because there's so many things to think about. TV size, audio, ports, stand mounting, all of these things. So for today, let's get into what you need to consider when buying your next TV. Hey, what up? It's your boy MobbJustice back again with another video, and for today we are getting into a little bit of a buying guide, some tips and tricks around what you need to consider when buying your next TV set. As always, this video is brought to you by the team over at Lion Media. Head on over to check out some of the crispiest photo, video and audio content. That's www.lionmedia.com. Head on over, check it out and just see what the team can do for you. As I said at the beginning, we are getting into the festive season, and televisions tend to be one of the most popular items that people tend to buy because your stores tend to have a lot of discounts and specials around some of these things. People use bonus money for whatever reason. You know, this is a good time to snag a TV set. I myself got my current TV during the festive season a few years ago when I started working. But usually when you're faced with such a decision, there's a lot of research that usually goes into it if you really want to get the best deal for yourself. So for today, I thought we would just try to simplify the process a little bit, maybe try to help you out around some of the things to consider. Now, before we get into the specific factors, you know, things like screen size, you need to ask yourself two very important questions when you are buying a TV, because usually people keep TV sets for a long period of time, and by long period of time I mean, you know, more than a year or two, because if you think about what happens with smartphones, for example, people sometimes constantly upgrade those things, but with TV sets it becomes an appliance. It's something that you keep for a long time. So you need to ask yourself, one, what is the purpose, you know, that you want to use this TV set for? Is it going to be in your bedroom? Is it for a home cinema? Is it for the lounge? What are you going to do with it? And then the second thing is, how long do you plan to keep this thing for? Because all of that then informs, you know, what type of considerations you need to consider. When buying a TV, there's a lot of things to think about. I'm going to highlight 7 different factors, but I'd say the first 3 are the most important. That is your screen type, that is your screen size, and that is your port selection. Starting with the screen size, this is probably the thing that most people think about when buying a TV. There are a lot of different sizes out there: 24, 32, 40, 42, 55, whatever it is. But when you're looking at those measurements, something to note is that those things are a diagonal measurement. So if I was to use a smartphone, because it's the same concept, the size of a screen, this is an iPhone 6s Plus, which means it's got a 5.5 inch screen, and that 5.5 inches goes from the top corner here to the bottom corner over there. It's not a top to bottom comparison. And in the same way, television sets are measured in the same way. So when you see those 55 inches, 75 inches, whatever it is, it's a diagonal. Coupled with screen size is distance, you know, from the television set. You need to go and decide where you're going to put the TV and actually decide how big of a display is appropriate for your room. I'll link some charts, you know, if you want to get scientific about it, but usually you can just judge, you know, with your own eyes what's going to be a decent size in a particular room. Moving on to screen type. Now, we exist in an age of flat screen TVs and monitors. Gone are the days of the old CRT television sets that had those big humps in the back, as well as the big rear projection TVs that used to sit and stand on the ground. Nowadays, we talk about flat screens, and that age really began about 2 decades ago with plasma screens. Currently, there are 3 main technologies that are on offer. That is your LCD, your LED, as well as your OLED panels. Without getting too technical about the different technologies, I'd say right now the sweet spot is to get an LED display. LCD displays are basically, if you think about wristwatches such as your Casios, that is the same technology. You have that as a display, and then you have a light that shines through. LED has the same technology, except that instead of fluorescent lights, you have LED lights shining through the display. And then you have OLED or OLED displays, where basically each pixel on the screen has the ability to switch itself on or off. So that means if you have a black scene on a screen, such as this black shirt, it appears as a true black because you're able to switch off those pixels, as opposed to LCD and LED displays where you still have that light shining through. So those things tend to appear as more of a gray. LED, I recommend it simply because OLED displays, as good as they are, they're still very expensive. And then LCD displays are more of an older technology, that some of the manufacturers are doing away with. But you will see that LCD displays do have a lot of applications still. This is a smartphone, an iPhone. It uses an LCD display. And then if you see something like this is a Samsung phone. This uses an OLED display. The next thing are ports. You need to be able to connect something into your TV screen, whether it's a decoder, whether it's a streaming device, a computer, whatever it is. And I'd say 5 of the key ports to have in 2021 is firstly HDMI. Get yourself the latest version of HDMI, especially HDMI that will be able to carry a 4K signal, right? In this day and age, 4K is basically you future-proof yourself for a number of years to come. If you really want to push the boundaries, maybe you can get yourself HDMI that's able to support up to 8K. And sticking to HDMI, there's something that's called HDMI ARC or HDMI ARC, which basically has to do with an audio return channel. And what that allows you to do is that you can connect one of these to an audio receiver, because some people have home theater systems, that type of thing. And so this thing will carry the digital picture signal as well as the digital audio signal, and that can then allow you to connect and hook up to an external speaker system. And whilst we're talking about speaker systems, headphone jacks, I have been a big proponent of these things. We've done entire videos about why they were taken away from iPhones. But when it comes to TVs, at least having a headphone jack is a good versatile port to have, because you can just go out and connect an external set of speakers for yourself. It doesn't have to be a complicated home theater system or anything dedicated like that. Even simple computer speakers will do well, because usually the sound that comes out of TVs is not the best. So just having that option is a good thing. And in watching your movies and your series, some people like to have them on a flash drive like this. So having USB ports of some sort on a TV is usually a great thing. Where we are in 2021, if you can get yourself something that has USB-C, that would be a good thing, because it at least means you've got the current technology and it will take you for a couple of years to come. And because we do exist in a connected world, having yourself an Ethernet port on a TV is a good thing, connected directly to a router, especially if you want to take advantage of some of those smart television features that are coming with a lot of TVs these days. Having a connected or wired connection is usually the best. Alternatively, using Wi-Fi. I personally use Wi-Fi, and for the most part it works pretty well. That's also something to think about. You'll probably notice that I haven't said anything about resolution, and that's simply because in this day and age, a lot of the new TVs that are coming out tend to be at 4K and above. That's a resolution of 2160 by 3840. Yes, you can still get yourselves the full HD TVs that are 1920 by 1080, but 4K has become pretty much a standard, and going on into the future, it's likely a sweet spot, for content, for the next couple of years. With the three main factors out of the way, I just wanted to highlight four more, as things to also think about when you're trying to buy a new TV. The first one is sound. Make sure that you get yourself a decent set of speakers on a TV. If you don't have external speakers of some sort, just go to the shop, make sure that it's got decent speakers. A lot of these TVs either have speakers on the back, speakers on the bottom, and in some cases with the new technology, they've got speakers built within the screen itself. But just go make sure that you're happy with how the device sounds. Otherwise, you can always get yourself an external set of speakers. As I said, even affordable, cheap computer speakers usually tend to sound better than what you get built in on a TV. The next thing to think about is what type of stand does the TV have, and do you want to mount it? Now, some TVs come with the feet, on either side of the TV, and that means you typically have to have yourself a wide stand that's able to take that up. Others have something that's in the center, which means you'd be able to take advantage of a smaller TV stand, coffee table, or whatever it is. That's definitely something to think about as well. Also think about can the stand that you have support the weight of the TV. Some of these TVs are massive, so just having something that's sturdy enough to take on the weight is a good thing. And then the last one on that point is around mounting. A lot of people tend to mount their TVs, so you need to check whether you can be able to mount your TV. If you have if you have small kids, for example, it's usually a good idea to mount TVs. I've actually heard a couple of people that I know who have kids, and kids will be kids, and they come and they play and they knock the TV over, right? So having something that's mounted on the wall from that point of view tends to be better. The point of software is where I'm likely going to butt heads with the most people, but please hear me out. I actually think that the software is probably the least important factor when you're thinking about a TV to get. A lot of TVs these days come with operating systems because TVs are now smart, which is why we talk about smart TVs. The three biggest TV OSs out there, we're talking about Tizen on Samsung, we've got WebOS on LG, there's Android TV, and in some areas we've also got Roku, right? Those are some of the operating systems that are coming built in to a lot of TVs on the market. But I think that is the least thing to think about, simply because it's easy to upgrade, something like that with a streaming box, whether we're talking Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV, the boxes. It's something that you can upgrade over time. If I think about, the first TV that I had, the operating system there by 2021 standards is trash, but the TV is still useful, and I use it on a daily basis simply because I can connect something modern to it, and you're able to continue your life from that point of view. But if you do insist on taking full advantage of the smart TV experience, then I'll say a couple of things. First, just make sure that whatever operating system is running on the TV supports the apps that you want to take advantage of. People these days usually want TVs that have access to YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, whatever your streaming platform is. But I'd also say, in addition to that, make sure that you have the ability to cast content connect to your TV set. So Chromecast, if you can get that, that's quite a versatile standard to get. And then if you are in the Apple ecosystem, getting a TV that has Apple TV built in would be a good thing. Saving the best for last is price, because if you are buying a TV, it's transactional. You will have to fork out some money to get your hands on this TV set. There are a lot of things to think about, but I do think what I said at the beginning, screen size, screen type, and the ports are probably going to help you to decide what type of TV you want. But before anything even begins, you need to decide how much money you're willing to spend, and then go and try to maximize on each one of the items that we spoke about earlier. A pro tip inside there is to create some type of flexibility for yourself in the budget, because you might decide to spend X amount on a TV, go out, get yourself a good deal, but always make sure you have a little bit of money left over for some of the other things that come with TV ownership. Right now I'm in South Africa, and before you can even get a TV in South Africa, you need to have a TV license. So that's obviously a cost. Usually you need to get cables, right? Whether it's HDMI, digital out, whatever set of cables you need to connect to your different devices, laptops, streaming boxes, that's a separate cost on its own. Whether or not you have somewhere to actually place the TV, TV stands, that might be for a first time TV buyer, that might be another cost that you need to think about. So when you're thinking about the price and budgeting, also think about some of those other costs. A quick tip before we end off is that by all means possible, try to go and see the TV that you want to buy in person. I understand that a lot of people are now buying some of these gadgets online and having them simply shipped to their houses. But insofar as a person can do it, go to the shop, just see what it feels like before you actually get it into your home. What this does is that it at least is able to give you some reality of what it will mean having this device in your house, and at least it gives you a point of comparison. In a lot of TV shops, it tends to be, TVs on TV, so you can actually compare, how one screen looks, versus another one. And it also gives you that ability to touch and feel the product, so that you can test out the durability and see what having something like this in your home will actually look like before you spend that money. In conclusion, there's clearly a lot to think about when you are trying to buy a TV, and I hope that this video has been useful in some way to someone who is thinking about buying their next TV set. As I said, screen type, screen size, and ports, really important, but all of this stuff is premised on how much money you want to spend. Decide on your budget, and then you can maximize on the different features that we spoke about earlier on. And then, as I said, trying by all means to get yourself some type of an external streaming box or other device from which to get content. A lot of people use video game consoles such as PlayStations, Xboxes, that type of thing as a hub, to feed into your TV. Other people use Roku's, Apple TVs, Android TVs. That's always great because you can quickly and easily upgrade those devices and keep your actual display for a long time to come. And then getting yourself some external audio of some sort, I think it would really add to that TV watching experience. On a final point, you might be wondering why I have not spent a lot of time on brands. A lot of people make their buying decisions based on specific brands and stickers that actually sit on their devices. But I would actually say that in this day and age, you can get really great quality panels, across the board when it comes to manufacturers. I myself lean, more towards Samsung as well as Hisense because, those are the types of TVs that I've owned and that I have experience with. Really great panels, great picture quality. I enjoy that. But I want to also give a shout out to two brands in particular. They aren't always available depending on what part of the world you are in. But if you can get your hands on a TCL as well as a Vizio, you really will be in great hands. What I like about these two brands is that they play more on the low end of the market pricing wise, but they offer really great quality panels, you know, OLED, 4K, you know, all of that stuff, you know, but at really affordable prices. So if you can get your hands on those brands, you would be in great hands. So that's been it for today. Hopefully that helps someone who's trying to buy a TV. Let us know what you think in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.
Hey, this is Baby G and you're watching the Mob Justice channel. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Live it, love it, like it. This is the Mob Justice TV.